Hello and welcome back to My Mom's Basement, presented by Barstool Sports and 3Chi. I am your host, Robbie Fox. Along with me is my co host, Clem, the star of Andor. We had another great episode this week, Andor episode 7. I was actually worried about this episode, Clem. I got to say, going in, because they said, I think it was Tony Gilroy, the writer, said the first 3 episodes are like one big chunk, the next 3 episodes are one big chunk. And then this is just a one off episode. The next 3 episodes will once again return to that story arc format. And then the final 2 are the finale. He said that's like the finale material. So this is the only episode all season that kind of stands on its own. And I thought, are we getting a flashback to episode? Are we getting a filler episode? And in a way, it is a filler episode, but it did a lot. And as far as the acting goes, it might have been the best episode all season in terms of just getting to see, like, I think her name is Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon Mothma. Holy shit, she ate up her scenes in this episode.
Bob, don't you say, oh, we survived this episode. R.I.P. my dog Clem. We learned of the original Clem's untimely demise and how he died. Pretty fucked up shit. But yeah, this was, I had heard the same thing. People had told me, listen, it sounds like it's gonna be a one-off, and then we're gonna have a little arc, I think, for 3 episodes, and then whatever, how it wraps up. So it's like that straggler episode, you always get worried, especially in Star Wars. I don't think Star Wars has had the success that Marvel has in terms of bridging those gaps, and Marvel's not perfect by any means with it. But Star Wars really fucks it up usually. So I'm going to count this as a win. Again, we're going to go positive. Let's clap it up, Bob. Clap it up. We're going to clap it up for the people at Star Wars over here. They're doing a good job right now. So, yeah, awesome. Very well acted. And stories coming together. I still feel like there's so much to learn. And I don't feel like I feel like something's going over my head. Do you feel like that too? Like there's a lot of big words they're using, especially in the place where everyone's wearing the white.
The Imperial meetings, yeah.
Yes.
Those are the most dense scenes maybe ever in Star Wars, where I feel like every sentence is a plot point where I should like rewind and really think about it. It's almost like reading a book where sometimes you got to reread a paragraph like multiple times to really understand what the hell you're reading. It is dense.
Speaking of which, I'm not the only person who will read a book and then get through the entire page and be like, I didn't pick up one word from that entire page. It's like when you're driving and you're like, I couldn't tell you one thing from the last 5 minutes. That's not a good sign. And driving's a lot worse than reading a book. There's danger involved there. So yeah, those meetings can be lumped right in. And real life corporate meetings circle back and you're talking, maybe some jargon, technological terms for whatever industry you're in. This is that times a million because it's just a bunch of fucking fictional shit in a galaxy far, far away. It's so much, but
it's like Thrones-esque in that way. Like in the Imperial scenes, especially when we see later in the episode, like Dedra and the other supervisor, like kind of like lobbying for control, trying to get the power, trying to get the approval of their guy up top. Like it kind of has Thrones vibes, which is stuff we've been asking for out of Star Wars, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? Now that you mention it, maybe to like fix this issue that like where we just leave feeling like I feel like there's a gap every episode. I'm like, I don't really know what's going on in this stuff. I have an idea. I think it's getting a little better. Maybe we do the thing where like those people are talking. They give you that little 5-minute post episode where the guys are just kind of just talking you through everything. I'm gonna need one just for. I just call her the blonde girl. I got her name this episode. I don't know if I wrote it down.
Dedra, right?
Dedra. They called her by her last name. It starts with an S, I believe, right?
Yes. So, I forget what it is, but yeah.
But like that's the kind of stuff where I was like, shit, I am really just over my head here. The Game of Thrones where they walk you through stuff where George R. R. Martin explains how he created a whole. They say George R. R. Martin will spend 25 pages just telling you how they make bread in Westeros for no fucking reason at all. I feel like the people who make Wikipedia are watching this shit and are just like, whoa, this is too Star Wars, dense for even me. So happy to know I'm not alone. And I feel like a lot of our listeners are in the same boat as us.
Would have been great if the one-off episode was just like another Mandalorian episode. They were like, let's see what he's doing with the Darksaber now.
Oh my God. And then you just see the IMDb where it's like 7.2 review, 7.8 review, 10. And it's like, oh, that was when Baby Yoda showed up and started wielding the Darksaber out of the blue. Just give a little nerd fan service. I'd love that if like once every Star Wars series, you just get a Mando thrown right at your foot, just blindsided like Lawrence Taylor.
It's like the Royal Rumble. Like you don't know when it's coming out, and then all of a sudden you get a Mando episode, and it's the Stone Cold gif. Like, oh my God.
3, 2, 1.
It hits, yeah. It'd be amazing, honestly. Let's get into this episode because there is a lot to discuss. We start with our guy Fuckface, Syril, looking out a window. We learn that his uncle Harlow got him an interview at the Bureau of Standards. I definitely thought we were going to get to see Uncle Harlow this episode. I thought Uncle Harlow was going to like bring him into the interview like a mobster or something. No Uncle Harlow though, not this episode.
What's his name? The guy, the fuckface. What's his real name?
Syril.
Syril. Okay, I thought you said that.
Yeah.
And what is he always eating?
Oh fuck, cereal.
What is going on with the
Cereal.
people naming the people in this goddamn show?
It might be Cyril. I might be mispronouncing it, but it's cereal.
It's cereal. And you know what? Like if I didn't
He's
call him
cereal
Fuckface,
for the rest
I'd
of the
call
show.
him cereal. Yeah, he's
No,
cereal
he's
guy.
cereal to me.
He's
Yeah,
cereal guy.
that's
for now
that's
on.
unbelievable.
An uncle
Cereal.
Uncle Harlow is casting a bigger shadow on like this fucking galaxy than like Darth Vader at this point. I don't know who Uncle Harlow is. His name rings out. He is the Heisenberg. You know, my name is my name. Say my name. I'm crossing the wire with fucking Breaking Bad references. Oh my god, Uncle Harlow is going to be a problem whenever he shows up, and I can't wait for it. I personally
Imagine
can't.
He's just like Uncle Buck.
That would be awesome. Just a drill. He's just a big happy dude. Oh man, John Candy. It's like John Candy's actually been alive this whole time. We were just waiting.
Great.
Oh, who would be the best celebrity to find out they've been alive the whole time? I think the answer is John Candy. I think we've already answered our own question.
John Candy would be pretty awesome.
Chris Farley would be
Farley.
good.
Yep, that another one came
it's
to
the
mind.
Big guys.
Yeah.
It's always the big guys, the big happy guys.
Big guys that we lost too soon.
I saw our boy Dante blog that they're doing like a biopic or a documentary on John Candy, and he's like, get the tissue boxes ready. There's gonna be tears. And John Candy was my dude as a kid. I fucking loved him. So Tupac, I'm still convinced Tupac is alive because I read a website back in like 1997 with a lot of very convincing arguments. It was
before I was born.
Yeah, it was a long time. It was on GeoCities, Bob. You don't even know what GeoCities is. That's the kind
genuinely
of shit
do not.
That's how you used to make web pages. You go to geocities.com. It was like the WordPress of its time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We have one of these meetings, one of these big white room meetings where there's a huge tax putting on any worlds that are choosing to be partisan to the attack and blah, 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 blah. Big words thrown around. But every now and then you get a Star Wars-y word thrown in there where they're like, did they just fucking say Palpatine? Like, I think they said the Emperor. The Emperor says that ISB is going to take control of this. I think they fucking said schedule again. This show hammers home the schedules more than any show in the history of television.
Bob, we got a schedule and a reschedule in two different places in Coruscant and then with our girl Marva. So that's, I mean, those are different zip codes, different galaxies, potentially different universes. I don't know what the fuck it is. Let's just say it's been established as canon. The C is silent in the Star Wars galaxy in schedule.
Which my uncle, shout out Uncle Den, told me is like the original way that you say that in English or whatever. Like that's just like we as Americans have changed that. But respect to Star Wars for being like, fuck it. That is how they say it in the galaxy far, far away.
They're taking it back. They're going to go with the old English way. Listen.
But do you think the rebels say it like our way?
Oh, that would be so awesome if the Red Bulls are like, no, that's like the thing that united them. Like, we're not going to say schedule like them anymore. The murdering of planets and the pillaging of our planets, that's another thing. But they say schedule so obnoxiously. They insist upon themselves. That's a good way to put it. And I will not apologize as an American. We fixed schedule, you could say, you know? Like, I do think there is a case to be made that, like, the metric system would probably be easier if everyone just used it, right? And
maybe.
Fuck the use, too. Like, favor it and all that kind of stuff. I will never.
That we don't need.
Ever say
You know, I found out why we took those away. Do you know the answer to this?
Because fuck the queen and the king?
Kind of. But I heard that they used to have to pay per letter on typewriter, so they just started taking things out that we didn't need.
Oh man, we were just
kind of like texting, kind of like abbreviating things when you text. The original version of that.
By the way, I get so proud of myself when I figure out, like, TBH. I figured that one out. IMHO. I figured that out pretty quickly. I'm pretty proud of myself as an old that I was able to just like sneak in. But once I can't figure that shit out, we're in trouble. But it's just like America at a time. We were just a poor country, just trying to make ends meet, And now look at us now. We've grown up to become
very much like the rebels in the Empire in a way. We could make the comparisons there. Also, Cyril's mom, I forgot to mention, is pissed at him for wearing this brown coat She's like, it says that you don't have any power. You got the collar hemmed up. I saw people posting the "it's a normal collar, find a new slant" meme. I thought he looked fine. I didn't think he should have been picked on for that coat.
Truly in a house without love. That man, as much as I hate him, whenever he does, he's going to do something extremely dastardly at some point. I don't know if it'll be this season, maybe next season. I'm going to blame his mother just as much as I blame him. Uncle Harlow may get a chunk of that blame as well, depending on how it all sorts out with him. But I feel like Uncle Harlow has a big part to do about it. And the fact that he's working at the Bureau of Standards. The Bureau of Standards sounds like the most boring place you could ever work. There's a time for most of us, one of the people who does not fit into this comparison is my boy Bob Fox, who I'm on this podcast with. But there's a lot of us who, after we left college, we're like, fuck, I guess like my dream job, even my dream industry isn't going to be the thing for me. And you start looking at like a little bit boring, a little bit more boring jobs. And then at some point you're like, fuck it, I need a paycheck. My parents are kicking me out of the house. I need just money. I'm going to go work at the Bureau of Standards. That's the most boring thing in the world, the Bureau. I don't know what it is. It just sounds fucking awful.
And when they showed it, it just looked like a cube farm. Like it looked like there's 1,000 people working there making cold calls to the galaxy far, far away or something.
Yep,
Even when he's accepting the job, he's like, all right, they're going to like get this cleared off my record, kind of. They're going to forget what happened on Aldhani. Or not Aldhani. He saw the attack on Aldhani on the news or whatever. But on Ferrix, was it? So he's like, they'll get that cleared off my record, but like, I'm really going to sit in this desk all day. Like, that's what I'm going to do.
That's the thing with the Bureau of Standards. It's like, listen, we'll wipe away like a couple misdemeanors here and there. I bet you get pretty good fucking insurance. You might get like a decent paycheck, but you're in fucking basically the Matrix version of when the humans are in pods in cubicle form. When I worked at ESPN, every fucking place, every like location at ESPN in Bristol, fucking Seattle, even in the city, there's all these different spots, and you always felt like you were at a cool, hip place to work. You'd have, TVs with recliners and, basketball shit, like just fun stuff. And I worked in the one place in the entire fucking in the entire all of ESPN that was just cubicles, and they called us. And I found out about it a few years like after I'd started. They referred to our office as cubicle hell, and I was like, oh man. And I'm like, yeah, we were cubicle hell, and that guy. Fucking fuckface cereal boy works in cubicle hell. Poor guy, man.
But in Star Wars, in classic Star Wars fashion, they're not like cubes. They're not squares. They're like hexagons. Yes. Like, we'll just change the shape. And
just a little different.
Yeah. It was kind of like Ready Player One vibes, too. Have you seen that movie?
Yes. I like that movie. I was a big fan of it.
It's a good movie, yeah. Mon Mothma visits Luthen without warning. He's like, oh, she's showing up without warning. That's kind of strange. She's under the guise of returning her gift for her husband or whatever. She's like, was this fucking attack this attack on Aldhani? Like, holy shit, her lip is quivering. Her voice is trembling. She's shaking. Amazing acting. And he's like, yeah, it's fucking time to force the Empire's hand. Like, they've been quietly choking us for a while. It's time to force the hand. And I loved when Dedra said that the attack was an announcement. She's like, we're talking about this like it was a terrorist attack. And they're like, what was it? She's like, an announcement. Because that's what it was. It's kind of like, not the start of the rebellion, but in a way, it's one of the first big actions.
It's I'm trying to think of what the better like metaphor is. It the seed being planted? Is it the flick of a lighter?
It's a spark, like Poe Dameron said. Yeah.
God damn it, Bob! Don't bring up.
Yeah, sorry.
Time of the thing, but that's I think where I think that was kind of in my brain was from the Poe Dameron line. It's just funny how everyone sees the news a different way. And I like hearing the story. I wouldn't even know. Part of me is like, would that even be a news story? Is it big enough? But I guess it is. And, that's probably, if you were smart, the Empire was smart, you squash that thing. That thing doesn't hit the fucking news.
Because then did that get out on Aldhani too? Like the people that live there, the Donnies, they're not putting it out.
They don't know what the fucking TV is.
They don't care. Yeah.
No offense. Don't want to get canceled here by the Aldhani people.
No.
I just don't think you guys have if you're Aldhani and you're offended by this, show me the technology you have that can broadcast something to the other Aldhani people or outside of your planet.
They're gonna roll up with a fucking like what are the old cameras that they used?
Yeah.
Where you shake the Polaroid.
The
They're gonna roll up
Polaroid.
with a Polaroid camera, like Nemec or whatever. Rest in peace.
Fucking Emperor. He had it all planned out with Order 66, but he's getting a little lazy now when he doesn't know how to like squash the fucking media and the voice of a rebellion by not letting anything out. Propaganda up the asshole he should be doing. He should be like, yeah, we killed a bunch of people on Aldana. We didn't like them. That's exactly what happened. Come on.
Unless
day one stuff, Emperor.
Unless like part of the attack was like one of the people that survive has to make sure this gets out.
And I would appreciate that if they had put that into the works where it's like, we're going to broadcast. That feels like something that they would have done on like a certain Thrones where it's like, not only do we have to carry this out and succeed, but we need other people to know that we succeeded. If that happens in the fucking future episodes, another fucking
like Hunger
applause.
Games, even like that was a big plot point of the Hunger Games where they sent a camera crew out with Katniss to go figure everything out. Mm-hmm. If you don't want to participate in the Hunger Games, if you want to feed your hunger, why don't you go on over to HelloFresh? See that transition? That was pretty smooth. Subscribe to HelloFresh and check Save Money off your fall to-do list. HelloFresh is 25% cheaper than takeout and less expensive than grocery shopping too. We've been telling you this for years now. We love HelloFresh. They've been keeping the basement lights on. We love supporting them because the stuff is legitimately delicious. They offer vegan recipes on the menu now, so that's great for Mama Fox, who's not fully vegan, but she's vegetarian. She likes some vegan meals. And you could change your meals. You could change your proteins. You could swap them or sides. They have such great customizable options at this point. Over 30 weekly recipes to choose from. I love it. Clem loves it. We've made the stuff. It's easy to make. We swear by it. If you go to HelloFresh.com/Robbie65 and use the code Robbie65, that's ROBBIE 65, you'll get 65% off plus free shipping. That's ROBBIE 65 at HelloFresh.com/Robbie65. The stuff is amazing. We swear by it. It's easy to make. It's convenient. It's cheap. And 65% off, you're not going to get a deal like that anywhere else.
Let's rock and roll, baby. There's a plethora of recipes that we love from there, both of us. So it makes you feel good. You just feel good about yourself. It's a natural glow after you cook and eat food you made yourself like that.
Oh, absolutely. Nothing better than a home-cooked meal. Dedra wants a report on all of the missing ships and Imperial stuff going back 2 years from a guy named Felzones. And that name kind of made me laugh. It reminded me of like an Italian name or even like Fasuli, who we love. Yep. One of the best video editors, cameramen at Barstool and everything. We had an awesome Star Destroyer shot where you just see the shadow that it casts over like a village when it goes over. People looking up at it. It's like, holy shit. Then we see this sneaky lady walk over and meet with Vel. That's what I called her sneaky lady. She kind of was. Thrones-esque sneaky lady. And she basically tells Vel, who's all dolled up at this point. We see Vel like when she's not in her rebel outfit. This is more of her like Luthen disguise, I guess.
Yep.
And she says Andor's a loose end. Like he's not fully in on the rebellion. This guy just kind of was a mercenary who did a job for us. He knows about some of the dirty deeds. Why don't we kill him? And I don't think Vel's down for it immediately. Like she kind of is like, is this what we're doing now? Like this is what the rebellion's doing? And they're like, yeah, that's what you got to do in war. Brutal.
I kind of would have loved if it came out that they were doing the Joker way where they were just going to kill everyone, tie up all the loose ends, was it this episode we talked about it at length for
it was 2 episodes ago.
Or She-Hulk. I don't know if it was at Andor or the She-Hulk.
Yeah, it was Andor, yeah.
It was Andor. That was like a good 10-minute just like tip of the cap to a great movie.
And I swear I went to YouTube after we recorded that and I watched the entire bank robbery scene. It's the best. It's the best.
Me too.
Yeah.
I love it so much. I put it in a blog like the next day too.
Good.
It gets in your head. The Star Destroyer, we talked about TIE fighters, and there are certain ships that they fucking nailed in Star Wars back in the original trilogy. And I think Star Destroyer and the TIE fighters are my two favorite ships in terms other than the Falcon, which is like its own one-off. It's like a character in itself.
TIE fighter over X-Wing?
I like the practicality, like the simplicity of the TIE fighter more than the X-Wing. I love X-Wings. That's always what I'll choose to fly when I'm playing a game. But the TIE fighter, I don't know, man. Like we talked to Screech, and it's like they're just so disposable. Again, the Emperor is such a motherfucker. It's like they don't need shields. We got so many people. These motherfuckers don't need like 1% shield. Just give me one shot, Emperor, one fucking laser that it can take, and I could maybe, stave the Empire. It's like, no, they're good. No fucking shields for those guys. And I don't know. The Star Destroyer, I don't think is even close. I think it's by far the coolest ship out of the main ships.
It's the most intimidating for sure.
Yeah, and
it's like one of the best designs ever. The opening of A New Hope, when you see the blockade runner come in, and then you see like the biggest Star Destroyer of all time come on over it. It's like one of the greatest ways to ever open a movie.
Yeah, and the engine, just like that, whatever is powering it, just seems so fucking cool. The command towers, again, this is getting deep down nerdy from a guy who played X-Wing versus TIE Fighter way too much as a kid. He could shoot off the little towers, the little shield generators, and then in Empire, when you're like, oh fuck, there's a Star Destroyer, and then you see a Star Destroyer going over top. That is like 3 times the size. Is that the Imperial class? I don't know.
I don't
know my classes and stuff like that. So I just fucking love Star Destroyers. That gave me like fanboy goosebumps watching that thing just come in. And it's funny you said, would you call it, the sneaky woman?
Yeah, sneaky lady, yeah.
Sneaky lady. I actually had a different Throne Z thing. The red lady is what I was getting off of her.
Yes.
She had the fucking red cloak on, and I'm like, wait, is Melisandre?
Complete vibes like that, yeah.
Are we switching? Like, me and Bob are doing the Dragon podcast on Sunday, right?
Which I can't believe we only have 1 episode left. Make sure everyone tunes in on Sunday night right after the finale. That'll be a big episode for us.
You never know what Nick Hamilton's going to do next. He poured out a fucking drink last episode, or 2 episodes ago. Last episode, he had a little fucking puppy with
wings on. He adopted a puppy for a joke. Yeah,
that guy is just gives it all. The epitome of the gives it all to the company.
He's the best. Cassian goes home. This is actually like the first time we see Cassian or are talking about him in this episode. It takes a little bit, but I tweeted that I love that they took a character who we were all like half sold on, I would say. And I like Cassian. I liked him in Rogue One and everything, but I wasn't like a diehard Cassian stan leaving that movie. They took him, they gave him his own series, but they said, we're also going to show you like the rise of Mon Mothma, the rise of the rebellion. There's a lot more to the show than just its title character. He goes home, and we see Marva and our guy, B2 Emo. He comes back. Ferrix is under Imperial authority at this point. He learns that motherfucker Tim turned him in. Tim with 2 M's, yeah. And I also have another neat tidbit from Uncle Fun, as we call him, Uncle Den, about B2 Emo and the stutter. He texted me about it, and he said he thinks it's a nod to the Buck Rogers 1979 TV show. He has a robot named Twiki, who does a stutter type noise before most responses, and the droid was voiced by Mel Blanc, who went on to voice Bugs Bunny. Just a legend of cartoon voices. He threw that up as a little nod, and I think that could totally be a possibility. Shout
out Uncle Den, the motherfucking goat. If you haven't listened or watched our podcast with Mike Fox, where's some all-time great stories from the greatest uncle on earth. I'm an uncle, and I'm even giving the crown to this guy. Yeah. Yeah. No offense, Bob. No offense to you, but your uncle's better than you at uncling.
He is. Andor wants to run away with Marva, take B2 Emo with him. Let's get off this planet. Let's, go fight. Let's do something. Let's get away from this. And she's like, first thing in the morning. And as soon as she says that, you're like, oh man, Marva's not making it off this planet. I thought she was going to get killed before the morning. Did you?
Yeah, it's the, we'll do it tomorrow. It's like, it's my last day on the job before retirement. Yep. I thought Marva was absolutely cooked, especially someone who it's like she's already given her life in terms of the years of it, the good stuff of her life to this fight. She's going to literally give the end of her life to this fight as well. So I'm with you 100% on that.
Then maybe my favorite, I would say my favorite scene of the episode, where Mon Mothma goes to a fundraiser type event. She's at a gala, if you want to call it that. And she pulls this banker aside, who she's apparently known since she was a child. His name was Tay Kolma. And I wrote down, Mon talks to Banker, who seems great. Not often, you write, Banker seems great. But this guy seemed pretty sweet. The daughter comes over at one point. She asks to be excused. She's like, Dad had to make me ask you to be excused or whatever. And she gives the husband a weird look, the douchebag husband, dickhead. And Mon Mothma starts talking to him, and she's like, "I have a favor to ask you." He's like, "I think you should be maybe trepidatious around me, or I don't even know if that's a word." But he's like, "You should be a little shy around me because I think my politics are a little extreme for you. I really hate the Empire. Like, you don't get it." Like, he's basically saying, like, "I'm a fucking super lib. All right, I don't know if you're all in on me here or whatever." And she's like, "No, that's exactly what I needed to hear. I've been putting up a front this entire time. The Mon Mothma that everyone knows is a lie. So let's get talking." And just the acting, the way that they shot this, them walking through the party, like a long take and everything. And then the way she kept saying, like, "Smile, smile, like, let's act like we're talking about childhood friends." This is like true spy rebellion shit.
Yeah, this is more in depth than a lot of this basic spy stuff you're seeing, like a regular movie, like nothing crazy,
Yeah.
right? And I do appreciate that. It was almost like with Luthen, where he's trying to sell all the stuff a couple episodes ago, and ha ha ha, and they're just acting like it, and then going in the back room and actually doing their dealings. I do agree. This guy seems like he's good. He's well connected. Has the money we're going to need for this. I'm still throwing him on the fucking sus list. He's still going somewhere on there because you're a banker, and I. The only way I'll ever trust a banker is if someone listening to this podcast gives me $1 million who's a banker. Then I'll put all you guys off the sus list. But as of now, I just cannot trust him. They're like the banker from Boston is such a cheat code in the Oregon Trail, and it's like it's just too fucking easy. Their lives are too easy, so I can't trust this guy as much as I want to. Slipping the blue martini. Did you see the blue martini?
Yeah.
There some
like we said, Star Wars, you make something blue, and we're like, "Oh shit!" Because what other food like blueberries, obviously, but it's not often you see a blue piece of food. It's so easy. You just buy a bunch of blue food dye. You tell a catering person to go nuts and just put blue food dye in everything.
Yeah, the only time where like blue reigned more as terms of food was the 90s. I'll tell you, late 90s, blue raspberry and everything was blue for a little minute there.
Blue candy, yeah.
Yep.
Blue
Eiffel
candy
65.
is like only second to cherry in my mind. Red, or it doesn't have to be cherry.
I'm not a blue guy. This may surprise you. I'm not a huge blue guy. Yeah, I
like blue raspberry icy. You don't like?
So
you motherfucker.
This is a guy. Listen, peanut butter boy. I'm not going to apologize to you of all people. You fucking
no
hate
anti peanut butter boy. You call me. Yeah. You don't even associate my name with that PB shit.
Growing up, I never liked. I like raspberry. People don't really like raspberry. What they did. Shout out to the people at fucking Big Sugar, or I guess it was Blow Pop was the first. But I remember they made it blue raspberry blow pops and had 2 Z's in raspberry. That it's like. They may not have been the first, but they were the biggest to do it. Because blow pops were huge back in that time. And they threw the 2 Z's on raspberry, and everyone wanted blue raspberry. I'm like, you guys do not like this more than your strawberries, your cherries, your basic reds, right? But it was fucking cool because it had the Z's, and in the 90s, Z's were fucking everything. As crazy as it sounds, just putting the Z at the end of a I mean, you could see all the old school like posters and stuff from back then. Z's fucking ruled the day. Yeah, the Dudleys, exactly.
I think they were a Z, or the Hardys, maybe both.
That's why I throw the Z at the end of the Basement Boys, because we're fucking cool. Like, we're fucking bad boys from the 90s. So it always got me mad. I never thought raspberry was all that good of a flavor, but the way they just marketed it. So the fact that Star Wars is now taking that, but they're changing it. Imagine if everything tasted like blue raspberry. And
But I don't picture it like that. Like a blue milk, I picture tasting like milk.
Yes, me too. Until this moment. Now I am going to say that blue milk has a taste of blue raspberry, and it's so fucking weird. But you know what? They don't know any different. Like that's
true.
Just
that's
their
their
life is
standard. Yeah, that's like plain to them. That's vanilla.
And it's so funny because you cannot get 2 places that are more different than the 90s in America and the Star Wars, where everything always sucks. Where back in the 90s, everything was awesome.
This is the grittiest Star Wars ever. Yeah,
gritty, so fucking gritty, so gritty.
Speaking of things that are not gritty, GameTime will get you the best, least gritty seats in all the land, created by fans for fans. GameTime is a ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score last-minute deals on tickets to sports, concerts, shows, and more. They guarantee the lowest price. If you haven't given GameTime a shot yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. You could get UFC tickets, WWE tickets, AEW tickets, all things associated with this show. Also, concert tickets. Me and Clem just did John Oates interview that's available to listen to on the YouTube now. If you go to the My Mom's Basement YouTube channel, John Oates of the legendary Hall & Oates. You could get tickets to see him. You could get tickets to see Red Hot Chili Peppers, who I saw with GameTime. Rage Against the Machine, who just canceled the whole tour, so you can't get tickets to see them. Unfortunately,
the only people you can't see, Bob just said. Your
Zach
Yankees,
De
you
La
can see
Rocha, he blew his Achilles. But yeah, the
oh,
Yankees, you could
the
see the
Yankees,
Yankees in the
my
playoffs. Yankees
Giants.
versus Astros. Yep. Giants, they're doing pretty well as well. My Commanders not doing as well, unfortunately.
Let me give, and I won't, rub any salt in the wound. We're not going to talk about the M team in baseball. I'll give a little one out there for the parents out there. Bluey's Big Play. Bluey, the show that I love and I'm always waxing poetic about. They're doing a live show. There's one in New York City coming up next month. There's one in Connecticut, which I think we're going to go to because I don't know if we can make the city that weekend. And it's going all across the country. So you go, the tickets are pretty damn cheap, and then you get the game time deal on top. You cannot go wrong. How did they get the deal, Bob?
You can go to the GameTime app. It's very easy. You go to the top right-hand corner, I think. It's the account tab. Create a login. Takes 2 seconds. It's so easy. Redeem the code BASEMENT, all caps BASEMENT, for $20 off your first purchase. I just got tickets to the Radio City Christmas show for this year. My girlfriend's never seen it. We're going as like a big family thing. So you know what? That is another thing you can go on Game Time. Get in the holiday spirit. There's tons of holiday shows in the city. They'll usually do a Christmas story thing, an elf thing, a Grinch thing, or something at the little theater under the garden. So look out for that. Thank you to Game Time for helping keep the lights on.
Hell yeah. Love Game Time.
All right, Andor goes back to Ferrex. He is already there. He goes to visit Bix. He wants to know more about Luthen. He's like, why did Luthen know everything about me? That's kind of crazy. And he just wants to be forgotten. He's like, you fucking tell that guy, forget my fucking name. I'm Clem to him, all right? He doesn't know me. Then we get the flashback to Clem. And like you said earlier, we see a brutal death for this guy. He's hanged. Marva says later on in an amazing monologue, she's like, I used to walk the long way to not think of, where he was hanged in the street and everything. But I'm not leaving. I'm staying here. I'm fighting. The attack on Aldhani inspired me. Meanwhile, Andor's like, oh, fuck, I inspired my mom. Fuck shit. And she, kind of weird moment in the end of this passionate, amazingly delivered speech, she just says, stop searching for your sister. There's nothing left there to find. There was no survivors on your home planet, Kenari. It's like, does she know something about the sister? Because obviously the sister's alive. That was like the first thing in the entire series. He's like, goes into that bar, where's my sister? He's looking for his sister. We're going to be reunited with the sister at some point. Why did she say stop looking for the sister?
That's a good question. Is she trying to, get him to stop looking for her because he's going to get hurt, or is it because he doesn't want to find out what she's become? And I think you're right on that, Bob. That's been a great call. You've been on that take since episode 1, I believe, right?
Yeah,
that was an early hill you stood on there. Also, I hate to do this to you, Bob. Who told you that Bix and our boy Andor were once lovers back in the day?
No, you were right about that.
Yep.
Hand up. I was wrong.
And you know what, Tim isn't wrong for being a little skeptical of them and worried about it, right? Yeah. Ex-boyfriend kind of stuff. And like ex-boyfriend from home, girl next door, and this is like years and years, fought in like a fucking rebellion. That's true. Tim with 2 M's. You have 2 M's. Sus list. Instantly sus list. This show, again, these names are just getting all weird. But I don't know if this is kind of fucked up to say. I think this was my favorite scene of the episode, was just seeing stormtroopers actually being like legitimately scary, having some order to them where they have them marching together, have them like pulling out the guns and having them, what does he say? Is like, did he say ready? Is that what he says? Like ready?
Something like that. And they were cool. Like their armor was like a mix of stormtroopers and clone troopers. They had like the clone trooper helmets, but their bodies, very much the back and everything, looked like the stormtroopers we know. You're seeing the full transition. It's like the little gradient from clone trooper to stormtrooper.
Yep, exactly. And then our girl Marva says that she goes, love is gonna make you want to stay. That was some deep shit right there. Marva throwing at our ass. I didn't need to hear that. Maybe like miss my kids.
and you know that Marva's gonna go down with the rebellion, and that's gonna inspire our guy Andor even more. Like, my mom died for this cause, so not literally his mom, but his adopted mom.
Do you think she's gonna say something like not avenge me, but
with
like,
great power comes great responsibility?
yes.
I just rewatched No Way Home, and I watched the extended edition. Little tangent we can go on here. For anyone interested in the extended edition, if you're a diehard Spider-Man MCU fan, it's worth a watch. It's like 11 extra minutes. I texted Clem, though, there was really only like two scenes that I would have actually left in the movie. You get a little extended version of the Peter dialogue at the end, which is fun. Like when they're all joking about where does the web fluid come from. I think it was
Yeah.
like a different cut of that. There was one scene with Daredevil where when he tells Happy, you're going to need a really good lawyer to get out of this. Later on, they like pay that off, and he, like Matt Murdock is Happy's lawyer later on for 15 seconds. And then there's one scene where Spider-Man, when he's found out everyone knows Peter Parker Spider-Man, goes to gym class, and his whole class is chanting, "Climb it, climb it, climb it." And he just starts climbing the wall, and he's like, "Oh, jeez, oh, jeez." And they cut to the gym teacher, and he goes, "Look at that sticky bastard go." It just really made me laugh. But that's really like the rest of the scenes, it felt like they were added on for an extended edition. Like they rounded up some of the teachers and background actors and gave them their own scene. It was so.
The fact that Stars has the exclusive rights to it is the biggest.
Stars, I had to get a free trial. Thanks for reminding me. I'm going to cancel that free trial because I looked on their other stuff. They didn't have much, as you could expect. No offense to Stars. Maybe they'll be a future sponsor, but
nothing better than the 7-day free trial. Again, I had that with Hulu for The Bear, which everyone has to watch The Bear. That's your homework once Andor is done with here. I did see that. I happened to see that Matt Murdock clip today on Twitter. So I was like,
you saw it.
So when I posted it, I'm like, sweet.
And it's fine. It's not like amazing, but it's something where I was like, oh, like it's more Matt Murdock. I definitely would have included that.
Yep. I wonder if they're gonna have anything from Andor. If there'll be any like thing like, oh, we almost did this, and it does tie into the other Star Wars lore.
Well, it was supposed to be longer initially too, because they said it was going to be like 3 to 4 seasons, and then I think the creator came out and said like, I would drive myself fucking insane if I tried to make 4 seasons of a Star Wars show. So we shortened it to 2. So like, what would you have expanded upon? Like, would there have been multiple arcs that just got cut? Was it would have been a much longer prepping process for the mission, which I can't imagine. It was a pretty long prep for the mission. I don't know.
I was gonna say I'm so happy that the mission ended when it did instead, because that feels like something that could have been drawn out in other works. The fact that it was 3, and again, like they could have probably got it in 2, but it did make it have a little more gravity to it by having a 3.
They keep getting to the point where you're like, all right, it better wrap up soon, and then it does though, and it like always delivers on that right when you're least expecting it. Maybe it's a good slow burn. Back to the show. Supervisor that Dedra she's been like feuding with the whole time, I don't know his name, says that she's been putting the ISB at risk. She's never filing any requests for her shit. Very boring office talk, kind of. He's like, she should be filing the request forms before she makes the searches. She's abusing her power, blah blah blah. And Ferrix is assigned to her when the lead guy, who was Qyburn, was he
Qyburn? Yep,
Qyburn from Thrones. When he finds that out, he's like, sounds like she's a lot more interested in it than you are. So I'm gonna give that territory to her. In an all-time like fuck you moment. I don't even like Dedra. She's the bad guy, but I did a little fist pump for her because it's just like fuck you for trying to go to the teacher and rat me out. And then he pulls her aside at the end and he's like, watch your back. People are coming after you.
Yeah. I call her the Hardo Blonde. That's just I write her in my notes. Like she's definitely cold. By the way, what a fucking idiot. The guy with the fucked up tunic that you're like, oh, fix your collar, dude. That's the guy you have, at most discretion possible. That file she had him pull to was like every single across the galaxy, every single like thing that had to be done or fixed. That file must be enormous. Fucking enormous. So no,
I would totally be the guy with the fucked up thing too. Like that would always be like if I had to wear a dress shirt for something, I would always be called. My mom would be like, "Oh, you rolled the sleeves up to your elbows again. You're wrinkling your shirt, Rob. Come on,
Oh, you got
to throw it over to Mama Fox a little bit, yeah." All right, this is a new sponsor to the show, Wondery. New ad read. I told Clem I was going to read this to him live on the air for the first time. Go deeper into the canals of Numenor, the mines of Khazad-dûm, and more with the official Lord of the Rings podcast.
Oh, wow.
The Rings of Power. Yeah. Host Felicia Day and several more guests provide an inside look at the groundbreaking series and what it took to bring Middle-earth to life. Each episode of the podcast features exclusive interviews with the series showrunners J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay, including the very first full breakdown of the incredible season finale. Felicia also goes behind the scenes with cast and crew to bring you jaw-dropping stories and Easter eggs you won't want to miss. Watch Rings of Power on Prime Video and listen to all 8 episodes of the official Lord of the Rings of Power podcast for free on Amazon Music. Download the Amazon Music app now.
Look at that. You know what? People have been, this is what we do here in the basement. People have been like, guys, we need to get some Lord of the Rings talk. Can I get that? Can we get that? No, we're not gonna try to fake it till we make it. We're gonna send you to the experts right here. And there is your experts.
And we know there are a lot of Thrones fans that listen to the podcast because I get tweets all the time. People were like, are you guys gonna do Rings of Power recaps? No. Like Clem said, we're not faking it till we make it. You go over to our friends on Amazon Music, Amazon Podcasts. That's where you get the official Rings of Power podcast.
Bezos definitely has the best people money can buy to get that stuff done too, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's like you just throw that to them. Now I do plan on watching it. I know my guy Bob may not be. I do plan. Whether or not it gets done is another issue, but it's just tough right now. We have Andor, we have Thrones, we have football, we had the Mets. A lot of stuff
going on.
Dense
show like this too. Like I know it's one of those shows where a podcast would help you.
Yes, exactly. So you go get your podcast, load it up, and then you give us a report. You tell us how it is, if that's the podcast you guys want for Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power.
Fact. All right. The ending of the episode, kind of a shocker to end it. Andor's fucking under the name Keith.
Yes, he
Reminded
is.
me of Keith Richards. I kind of like that. You know, people call him Keith sometimes. He's fucking. He has like a little toolbox full of money and credits he puts above the shower. And he goes for a walk. He sees some people running along the beach, kind of weird. And he gets detained by a KX unit. It's not K2SO. It's a little tease. It's a little foreshadowing moment for the future. K2 unit, basically KX unit, they call him. Grabs him by the throat, starts choking him. He gets charged. It was a very cool like printing thing when they would like do the little scan over and it would tell you what it was, what the charge was. And he's like, what is this? I think they charged him to like 6 days or something at first. And he's like, I'm just a tourist. Like, I wasn't even supposed to like be there. He kind of gave the Dante from Clerks. I'm not even supposed to be here today. And they're like, oh, you're just a tourist. Oh, sorry about that. Let's give you a new charge. 6 years. 6 years in prison on this planet, which it looked like a very nice planet to begin with. It looked like fucking Miami or the Jersey Shore or something. And then you just get a shot of Syril completely miserable in his cube to end the episode.
So I didn't realize this. First of all, the name Keith is just like the name Keith. So I'm like, this fucking show is extremely fucking lazy with the names. The girl's name. Did you catch the girl's name?
No.
Windy. And I don't know if they say it, but it's in the closed caption, which is just like Winnie, right? Or
Wendy.
Yeah, either or.
Get out of here,
now,
Wendy.
As you say this, I didn't even put the two together. The name of the planet. You know the name of the planet?
I saw it flash and I meant to write it down, but I didn't get it in time.
Nyamos, which is just like Miami, the beach planet.
Nyamos, yeah.
So those three things all together. And listen, if that's their thing, that's their thing. It actually makes it easier for me because the place that gave you Lando Calrissian and the fucking Millennium Falcon and all this shit. It is sometimes easier to just be like, all right, that's Keith. Very easy.
Sometimes it's like you could go self-explanatory too. Like you don't have to go with crazy names all the time. Cloud City worked. It's like it's fucking city in the clouds. That's all you got to know.
Yeah, you don't have to talk Bespin or anything like that. I like that.
Cloud City works.
As soon as I saw this place, I was like, man, that is a cool fucking place. And the last person I thought was going to be there was our boy Andor. And I am just so goddamn bummed for him because he was living the life. He has a ton of money. He's in a beautiful location. He's just living that fucking life. And just to have it just removed, I was excited that I thought it was K2SO at first, which again, like you said, Bob, it gave you kind of that like, oh shit. And it's like, no, not so fast, my friend. Yeah. But it did let you know that there's going to be a whole backstory.
I believe they call it.
They're edging us.
Yeah.
Our boy Keith wasn't edging in that hotel room though. It seemed like he took care of business.
Yeah.
A lot of sex and that's Bix level.
Star Wars for adults.
Yeah, Star Wars for adults. Star Wars After Dark. Going from beach sex to 6 years in jail. That is a fucking bummer.
And are we getting a time jump where it's like, I don't know if they're doing, I don't think it's like a 6 year time jump yet, but will we get like a 3-year time jump and then he breaks out? Like, are the next 3 a Prison Break arc? That would be awesome. I love a Prison Break.
That's a great call. I could definitely. I was trying to figure out what the arc was going to be. That would
Meet
be
some rebel friends in prison that also got locked up for the wrong reasons or something. They all break out together.
Yep.
That'd be pretty sweet.
I'm excited about that. This whole thing does feel like the with like 6 months to 6 years. It's like when you went from having like the nice teacher to like the mean teacher. You're like, everything was so fucking good and now it's bad. And the Empire was never fucking good, but it's really getting bad. I mean, unfortunately for him, he's the reason why he got this. Yeah. Like he helped with the thing in
it was crazy that they detained him when they did, though. I get he was kind of dressed like the people running, or were they robbing something? Who knows? But like they really did just basically pull him off the street and slap him in jail for 6 years.
Sweating. He got arrested for sweating on the beach. Yeah. That's what he got arrested for. That was the most absurd
thing. Like you're seeing the abuse of power for sure.
Yeah, and it's just very. It's just indicative of how much like Leia says, like they're like with the fist, they're trying to close that fist and grip tight, and everything's going to fall through their fingers. And it all started with that one little thing on Dani. What's the name of the planet?
Aldhani.
Aldhani.
And they were the Donnies.
Yes, exactly. So again, there was a couple, they alluded to it with in the corporate white suit place where it is like, we're going to fucking just crush these people. And you're going to kind of see, and I like that we saw already how they're coming down with the fist so hard and how that's going to be the reason why the rebellion, is able to rise. So the banker is on the sus list though.
Yeah, unfortunately, I understand that. He is a banker, so it's like, yeah, he's probably on the sus list.
Bankers, lawyers, people that work for hedge funds, even I don't know what hedge funds are.
I don't know that either, but that always sounds
If you're in the finance industry, you're sus. I love large. I love them. I wouldn't trust
unless you could get us like season tickets to like one of our favorite sporting teams, because usually the people in those industries are the ones with the season tickets.
That's exactly it.
So if you're offering up Rangers season tickets, Yankee season tickets for me, Knicks season tickets for the both of us. Did you see the Linsanity sign I posted?
No, I didn't.
Oh my God. I'm going to show you live on the podcast. People can't be mad at a tangent after we're done, right?
I offered $1 million to get the banker off the sus list, by the way. So I'm just looking for straight cash on me. That's all I'm looking for. Or get your tickets on GameTime. If you just buy tickets on GameTime, you can get off the sus list.
I genuinely love GameTime. They're great. Shout out to GameTime. So I saw HBO Max made a Linsanity documentary. Did you see that? 38 minutes, 38 at the Garden. I went to a game, wasn't truly in the Linsanity era because it was right after Carmelo came back. But I was so swept up in Linsanity, Clem. It was crazy. I had just become a Knicks fan because when the Nets left New Jersey, I said, fuck them. Fuck them. I don't want to be a fan of them. So I swapped over to the Knicks. Not really a great move, to be honest, but yeah. And when
you're not jumping on a bandwagon, no bandwagon.
You can't accuse me of jumping on a bandwagon. But Jeremy Lin was like so soon after that. I was so fired up about Jeremy Lin. I had the T-shirts. I had the jerseys. I had the hat that said Lin 17. I had a rally towel with Lin 17. My mom was going out to Modell's, exactly, and just buying me as much Jeremy Lin shit as she could buy me because she knew I loved this guy. I was like, this is the savior. We're winning the NBA Finals. And I went to a game. It was against Atlanta, and the Knicks won, and Lin had a great performance with a sign that said, to Linfinity and beyond. Wow. And if you're not watching on YouTube, I have Jeremy Lin's head pasted, literally cut out and pasted onto Buzz Lightyear's body.
So that's it was a great sign. Held up at the Garden.
Yeah. Oh and God, I wish I had the picture of me with it. It would be such great content if I had the picture of me at the Garden with the sign and with my 17 Lin hat. Like I was all, decked out. It was like I was over the moon. And then Melo came back and kind of ruined it all. So I've always kind of held a grudge about Melo.
It was a magical time too, because the Giants had just won the Super Bowl, so I was on like cloud $1 million at that point. It was the absolute.
It was
best.
Awesome.
How old were you at that? So that was
2012.
So it's 10 years ago, right?
Yeah, so I would have been 13.
Jeez, that's
like
13
February
is the age when you're bringing a Buzz Lightyear sign to the Garden with your favorite player.
Yeah, it would have been right before I turned 14. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Crazy, but it was a great time, like you said. So yeah, if you're offering up Knicks season tickets for me and Clem, great. If not, you're sus.
You're sus.
That's the moral.
If you have money, you're sus. That's the bottom line.
That's the moral of the story. Exactly.
You're not sus if you're
not sus.
And
hey, that Disney trip is happening. We got a group text.
That's right. That's
Dave
right.
texted us all in a group. He was like, let's make this Disney trip happen. So we're going to try to figure out a good time. And that's going to be an all-time video.
One of the 2 weeks that Jeff can go is the week that I will be in Star Wars, paying thousands upon thousands of dollars to go with my family. So I'm going to end up going probably at the end of the month again to fucking Disney. So fuck me, I guess. Is the long and short of it.
Yeah, not your year so far, I guess, with
year.
the Mets and everything. Yeah, not like that great 2012 year. But make sure you like and subscribe so it can be our year, you know. And we'll see you next week for another Andor recap. If you like House of the Dragon, also tune in on Sunday for the final recap of that.
And if you made it all the way to the end, thank you. Hashtag Clem's year. We're going to fucking turn
Clem's
this
year. I like that.
Clem's year.
Hashtag Clem's year.
Tweet at us. Just let me know. Or Clem's ear. Take out the Y. Clem's ear too. That could work as well.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do. Clem's ear. It both work.